From the City of Angels, you are listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to talk about movies and TV shows. So let me strike the music, and I'll meet you on the other side.
Engage.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am your father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where you get your dose of pop culture, politics, and futurism. How's everyone doing? Getting close to summer. Getting excited. Just came from Las Vegas. Pretty fun. Ate some good food. P.F. Chang's, which was nice. I liked their drinks there. I went to the Salt and Grass at the Golden Nugget. Pretty good steak. Drinks not so good there. Let me tell you what's the move in Las Vegas when it comes to drinks. It all depends on quality or quantity. And I go for quality. So, find a casino that has a restaurant that has a bar inside. And in every bar, in every restaurant inside the casino, they let you take the drinks out. So the move is to go in, order a drink from the restaurants, like where I was staying at the Orleans Hotel and Casino. They're there Fridays. So I went up to their bar, got my drink. It was about $10, right? But it was a good drink, solid drink. Took me a while to finish it. As opposed to the ones that are given to you free, that you may pay $1 on, but you're probably going to lose $20 in the time span that you're waiting for that drink. I just go get the good drink, watch my wife waste her money, and I'm having a good time. It's working out for me. I'm getting the better drink. I'm getting my old-fashioned, maybe a Mai Tai, whatever I'm feeling. And it's in a much bigger cup made by a professional bartender instead of a waitress who's trying to sling out 20 drinks within an hour. So that's the move. Now, before we get into it here, we got to talk about the slap heard around the world. As you know, as the whole world knows, that Will Smith at the Oscars jumped on stage and slapped the shit out of Chris Rock. Because he made a joke about his girl's hair, his woman's hair. Now, most people see this as a man defending his wife that went too far. But what this really is, this is a toxic relationship that when it gets challenged in any way, bad behavior comes out. If you do not know, Jada Pinkett Smith and Will Smith have an open relationship. I don't know if they still do. And because of it, Jada screws men. And they act like it's a choice. But the fact of the matter is, unless Will goes along with this, she's probably going to leave him. So Jada ends up screwing her son's friend in their house. They go on live TV, on her red table, and they talk about it, and he's crying about it. How he feels betrayed. Not really. But he sort of has to suck it up and deal with it because he agreed to it. So here's the dynamic, right? She's in full control. Now let's go back to the event really quick. Chris Rock makes a joke that her hair looks like Demi Moore, Ashton Kutcher's mom, with benefits. Hair. He laughs at the joke. She was not laughing. And when he saw her reaction, and when she saw his laugh, there was unspoken words. And the unspoken word to Will Smith was, "You fucked up. You laughed at that joke." Now, he said to himself when she looked at him, he said, "I fucked up. I better fix this quickly, because when I get home, there's going to be hell to pay. Or I'm going to call up one of my son's friends and make myself feel better." And he's like, "Fuck that. I need to fix this situation quick." So he did a disproportionate response, went on stage on live TV, and slapped the fuck out of Chris Rock. He almost got knocked the fuck out. That was not standing up for your woman. That was fear of reprisal from his wife. And may not be some overbearing woman that's going to yowl his ear off, is that she's going to take it out in a way that will humiliate him. And obviously disproportion of control. There's a sad saying, and sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not, but majority of the time it's true. The one who controls the most loves the least. They have a word for what Will Smith is. It's called a cuck. It's about somebody who watches people screw their wife. The only difference is he just can't watch. Other people screw his wife, but he can't watch. At least I don't know he does. And at that red table where they talked about it, it all happened. He didn't know what was going on at the moment. So, Will Smith. Now, if I was a betting man, and I am, and sometimes I lose on the roulette table, but my analyzation of human activities is pretty spot on. I would say that he's going to go home and blame her for how he reacted. There's going to be a fight over this, because it was way disproportional. If it was in the streets, it's still disproportional, but not as much. He could have said what he wanted to say, don't get my wife's name out of your mouth. He could have said that from the seat. But most people suspect that Chris Rock is an easy target because he's small, scrawny. And like most people are saying, that he probably wouldn't have done that to Jason Momoa or The Rock. He felt brave to do that because he was small, and most people, not most people, but some people are calling it being a bully. But once again, my friend, this is what you get. We shouldn't be surprised because these people are human, and we should not take our morality from movie stars. they are just as flawed as everyone else, even more so. But not only are they just as flawed, they are more disconnected. And here's a man who has bought hook, line, and sinker into this woke narrative of how families should be growing up. Got the cross-dressing son, bondage-wearing daughter, a wife that screws other people. And you think he's happy with it? No, but he has to act happy. He has to pretend that he's happy. He has to pretend that he's woke. But when Chris Rock made fun of him, his wife, in front of the nation, what he thinks about his family life, his fierce defense of it, is a symptom reaction to what he feels inside. So embarrassed that he feels he needs to lash out, feels so out of control about what his family should be like when he's the star, when he's the moneymaker. He is not the leader of that family. 100% emotional based. He reacted violently. Because deep inside, he knows this is not how you raise a family. Look I'm not perfect. Nobody's perfect. We make mistakes. We make miscalculations. But when you condone certain lifestyles, and you think there's not a consequence emotionally, and that just balls up in you, day in, day out, your wife being public about it on a TV show, day in and day out, and you just have to suck it up because people are going to call you a bigot if you try to rein that family in from how they think and what they do. That family's lost. He's just in it. It's sort of how Bruce Jenner took a back seat to that whole family, the Kardashians. Just had to suck it up. Fuck, at the end of it, he became a woman. Shh. Choices have consequences. They do. Let this be a warning to any family who wants to be woke and progressive. It will start ripping at the seams in public. We should not be taking our politics from entertainers, our morals from entertainers. These people are morally corrupt. They have to fight being morally corrupt because everyone's kissing their ass. Everyone's telling them they're great. Everyone's telling them that they're intelligent. But all they are is just good actors. And that's it. They ain't nothing else. They're just good actors. And don't place intelligence upon them until they can say something intelligent and prove they're intelligent. Let's not add this extra layer of nobility that because they are a successful actor, that they are morally intelligent, actually intelligent. What they are is pretenders who pretend well and they get paid a lot of money. And a majority of the people who try to pretend as a living don't make that much money. And know that one good success doesn't make you the moral authority. This is what you get. So unless someone slaps somebody every Oscar year, we shouldn't be getting awards to these idiots. The fact of the matter is, what should get the award is the one that makes the most money. At the end of the day, you're getting a reward for art, and that's not how art works. You should get rewards for how many records or songs, or how popular your song is, or how popular your movie is, or how popular your TV show is by who watches it and who listens it. You shouldn't get a reward for art, because that's not art. Sometimes art never gets discovered, and that's okay. Maybe years from now it'll get discovered. But to give a reward for art is silly. Now, if I got one, I would quickly change my tune. Probably not. I mean, because there's certain advantages of winning the Oscar, and maybe not anymore after somebody gets slap happy. And let me tell you, no one cares about what happened to Chris Rock. Everybody's concerned about Will Smith. What the fuck? That's some bullshit. Some bullshit. Poor Chris Rock. I hope he does not take the higher road like he did when he got slapped. If I got slapped on live TV, my arms would start windmilling. Right at him. I'll just run like a freight train with my arms windmilling going, yeah! But that's not Chris Rock. I hope. It's crazy. It's just crazy that he would get upset from him talking about her hair and the way it looks. Not that she had a hair problem, but he has no problem with some dude's cock in her mouth. Wrong priorities. And everybody gave his ass a standing ovation when he won the Academy Awards. Craziness. I'm sorry if you admire these people for other than their acting, then you got a problem. All right, let's get on topic now. The very first movie I want to talk about is Batman. Now, I have mixed feelings about this. I didn't know if I wanted the guy from Twilight to play the Batman. I didn't know how it was going to come off. And at the end of the day, I had mixed feelings about this. Because of how it was written and the motives behind it, the underlying story, which I don't care. I don't care if things are woke as long as it's action-packed or well-written. I mean, 90% of entertainment is woke. So I don't have a problem with that. But I have a problem when you start to change the character in a way that undermines it, for lack of a better word. So let me say this. This movie is a detective story that happens to have Batman in it. It is not a superhero movie. And a lot of people complained that it was too slow. But if it wasn't a Batman movie or a superhero movie, people would have the patience to let the story set the scene, set the clues, set the ideas that would pay off later on in the movie. They didn't have the patience for it because they were waiting for a superhero movie, and that's not what they got. And I don't mind that. I don't mind getting into Batman the Detective, because the very first Batman comic book is called Detective Comics. He was more of a detective than a vigilante. Later on, he grows into both. Batman is a brilliant detective, a brilliant fighter, and the great thing about Batman in the comic books is that he's always one step ahead of everybody else. Because he has to be. Because he doesn't have superpowers, and he lives in a world where Superman and Wonder Woman and the Green Lantern, people who have these superpowers, he has to adjust in a way for whatever reason. He has to prepare even more because he's just human. He's just a badass fighter who's a brilliant person who has billions of dollars. Like in the movie Justice League, Flash, when Batman meets the Flash and the Flash says, "What's your superpower?" He says, I'm rich. And that's a funny scene, but it's true. Batman could not accomplish 75% of what he does if he wasn't rich. So back to the movie. This movie, it is a detective story. And it plays out that way. Now, what I'm going to go into next is how the writing of Batman, the writing of his character, and the overall idea of a Batman is undermined by the writer and the director. First of all, for a superhero movie, it had very little action. But I will say, the action that it did have was pretty awesome. Top of the line. When they did have some action scenes, they were pretty impressive. The fight scenes were pretty impressive. The chase scenes were pretty impressive. And they looked amazing. A step up. So there were payoffs for your patience in action scenes that were that looked pretty cool. But Batman himself, played by Robert Pattinson, let's say this. Number one, he played a great Batman. He did. He was really good. But he played a terrible Bruce Wayne. And I don't think it's so much of his acting. I think it's directing. I think it's the overall arching idea that they wanted to present about Batman. The idea of a Batman. Because as Bruce Wayne, he was sort of a mopey little bitch. Just whiny, moody, without purpose, lost, trying to figure it out, unsure. This is not who Batman is. Batman is traditionally ahead of everybody else. Batman traditionally, his plans have contingencies upon contingencies, 5 steps, always ahead of everybody else. And granted, in this movie, his detective prowess, he figures out things pretty fast because they present that brilliant part about him, but still played this very emotional, emo, feeling sorry for himself type of person. You see, let's go back to Batman Begins, the Nolan films. There's a moment in Batman Begins where it's the beginning of Bruce Wayne. He's about to kill the guy who killed his parents with a gun. He's totally lost, and but the mob ends up killing the guy before he can get to him, and he just goes off to the east, and he's trained to be a killer by the League of Assassins. And later on comes back and becomes Batman. But he has a purpose. He wants to kill all the corruption in Gotham. And Gotham has a lot of corruption from the beginning to the top. It has it in the police force. and the mayor's office and the mob. It is a terrible place. And he wants to go back and clean up the city that his father and mother loved. And that's his purpose. That's his plan. And he's going to use his wealth, his intelligence, and his skill to do that. Well, this Batman is just lost, trying to figure it out, unsure of himself, just beating the fuck out of people because he's angry. And which he plays good as a Batman when he starts fighting and beating the shit out of criminals. But he's unsure of what he's doing. Unlike Batman at all. And at the bottom line, the director and the writer really don't like the idea of Batman. So they're putting him in a bad light. So the Bruce Wayne is always, his hair is not combed. He has like a 5 o'clock shadow. His clothes are all baggy. And even though the Batman in the other movie pretended to be this rich mogul, and it wasn't him, he still did it so people wouldn't put two and two together and make four that this guy is Batman. So he played the part. I mean, at the very end, whenever you saw Bruce Wayne, you're like, what's wrong with that dude? Why? That dude's weird. You know, it eventually might have pointed the finger that this guy might be causing problems with his wealth. So let's get into the other actors really quick before we talk about the ending of the movie. Number 1. Andy Serkis was great as Alfred. He's an amazing actor. Top shelf. Played Alfred perfectly. Now, Colin Farrell was a standout. So much that you didn't know it was Colin Farrell. It is one of the best makeup jobs in movie history. You will look into those eyes and in that face, and you will not see Colin Farrell. You will see that character. It is phenomenal acting and phenomenal makeup. The best I've ever seen, quite frankly. It is incredible. He should win an Academy Award or be nominated for this film. And it would be a crazy thing that another character from a superhero movie gets nominated for an Academy Award, let alone might win. It's that good of an acting. If you just want to see the movie just to see Colin Farrell, you should. It is worth it. That made the movie worth it. I knew that was Colin Farrell who was playing that part, but I mean, amazing. Incredible. I can't tell you. Now, Catwoman, played by Zoe Kravitz. I mean, it wasn't acted bad. It felt like the character wasn't used well. I mean, she's stunning to look at, and the part she did play was great. There was no bad acting, but it seems like a minimal use of that. There's some twists and turns, but overall, the movie was focusing on making Batman look like a terrible vigilante. So much to the point where they have this arc of this kid who joins a gang, and he's afraid and apprehensive and doesn't know what he's doing, and he almost gets the shit beat out of him by Batman, and you're more sympathizing with him, and you're looking at Batman through this vein of a vigilante that has no mercy. I mean, he doesn't kill anybody. So you begin to see how the criminals start to be the victim, and the heroes are the real villain. slowly being implemented. Commissioner Gordon, played by Jeffrey Wright, who's a phenomenal actor, great at everything he does, seems totally misused in this. There was no really big moments. He just seems to be standing around and listening and trying to hold back Batman at times, that they have a special relationship, and some of it, the relationship doesn't make sense. It feels like the Commissioner Gordon is taking a backseat to everything Batman does. And back to the Catwoman. And let me explain that further, that she deserves a better storyline, a bigger story arc. She seems like a movie within herself. And that's what I mean. She's unutilized, or maybe used too early. So spoilers ahead, and let me just get down to the wire here. Okay, so spoiler. Number one, the Riddler is the villain. And he's played fairly well. Crazy character. What you would think. But unfortunately, there's a scene between Batman and the Riddler that mirrors exactly to Nolan's Batman and the Joker in The Dark Knight. That scene could have been done so many different ways, but they chose to do it in the exact same way the other movies did. So that was weird. It took me right out of the movie. I said, this is the exact same scene from Nolan's Dark Knight. So that was weird. So I won't spoil it too much, but at the end of the movie, the conclusion that Batman comes to is that beating up people is not good. He should help people. He shouldn't fight evil. He should just help people. So you get this scene at the end where he comes to this revelation that he shouldn't beat up bad people anymore. He shouldn't stop bad people. He should just help good people. Right? Because beating up bad people is not good. Stopping evil is not good. Just help people who've been hurt by evil people. So he's beating up people at this campaign rally, and suddenly there's this big old electrical box that's going to fall on the people who are in water because the Riddler blew up the levees and the whole city's flooding. So he comes to this revelation, what I need to do is save these people and stop beating up all these bad people. So he he cuts the wire that would have fallen. And he's hanging onto it, and he falls down into the water. He comes back up like a new baptism, like a new person. Leads these people out of the water into the sunlight. Has the National Guard. He's putting people in carts that will be lifted out by helicopter. He's doing the Superman thing. I expected to hear dun, 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 and fly away with his cape. And what we're getting, and here's where the wokeness comes in. You know, because a lot of people believe that fighting is evil. But that's not true. You have to fight evil. And in this movie, we see Batman make this shift that fighting is evil. And helping others is good. And this is how you solve the problem. Or this is the only way you should solve the problem. And that's not who Batman is. Batman fights evil, leaves the cops and all the resources to help other people. But he is constantly fighting corruption and evil, and it means he has to beat up and beat the shit out of some very bad guys. He's going to do it. So at the end of the movie, Batman comes to this realization, I need to do it a different way because the way I do it doesn't produce results. And I would argue, at the end of the day, if your society is that corrupt, I don't know we're there yet. We're not there yet. Half this country is divided. Doesn't mean this is the majority of this country is corrupt. And we get lost thinking that people believing different from ourselves equates to it being corrupt if it's not aligned with my values. And that may not always be true. Actually, majority of the time it's not true. It's just someone believes different from you. I say all that to say this. So Batman comes to a realization that beating up people is not good. He should do the more Superman thing. Well, they have Superman in the DC world for that. So ultimately, I agree with some of the criticisms that the person who wrote this did not like Batman and does not like the idea of Batman. And tried to show the futility of beating up bad people. And sometimes you can be bad yourself by fighting evil. And obviously this is a reference to, cops, painting cops to all one color of bad. Cops really don't need it. They don't need to be pulling people over. They're causing more harm than good. And all of our resources should go just to help people, and we shouldn't have a police force. So this woke idea that fighting is evil, and not that you should fight evil, this is what the movie is saying. Batman's an anti-hero. In this, he is no hero at all. Even though he captures the bad guy. Even though he figures it all out. Even though that all the corruption, the majority of the police force is corrupt. And the mayor is corrupt. He still thinks he should leave it up to those people. It's just not how Batman comes to conclusions. So we're getting ideas here that are woke. That's fine. Overall, I liked the movie. It was very entertaining, well acted, missed opportunities, repainting the hero more like a confused child making bad decisions. So in my 5 potato rating, it gets 3 for good acting. Looks amazing, actually a good detective story, and good fight scenes. Misses a 2 because it doesn't take advantage to tell the story of the rich Bruce Wayne and how he has to pretend to be that, and this mopey Batman who seems unfocused, who seems unpurposed, just trying to lash out at the world for how he feels under the disguise that he's helping people. So, 3 potatoes. Since I took a long time talking about Will Smith and the Batman, we're going to rifle through the next. So, the next show I watched was Raised by Wolves. I watched it from the beginning to the end. Done by HBO. The premise is that humanity had a big war over religion, and the atheist fought the religious, and pretty much the world suffered for it. And now we are spread out to other places in our near galaxy, and these robots are here to protect. And these two pairs of robots, called Mother and Father, take care of these kids on this planet and trying to raise them to bring back the human race without God. Now, these robots, ironically, were created by the religious people, but they've got reprogrammed to raise them atheist. And a lot of craziness ensues. There's a backstory of a alien civilization that has such immense power that a lot of what seems to be happening feels like a god is doing it. So you are going in between this idea of what they call Saul is God, and these people who follow it, and then these other people who are atheists, but where things happen, and I don't want to spoil it for you, that it's odd. Now, mostly, if it gets too surreal, I don't like watching sci-fi that seems too crazy. It's got to have some ground in reality. Like, one of the problems I have watching the old Star Trek is that they would have weird stuff. And weird aliens, and I would be like taken out of it for some reason. Even though the Next Generation had the same thing, they explain it by having a super powered alien that controls things with their mind, and their mind is off in some way, so everything looks off on this episode. But this gets surreal, but the acting, the story, and the situations that they put in, it keeps you there. It keeps you hooked. So I like it. I give it a 4 potatoes for this. It's the second season. Second season goes deeper into whether Saul is an alien civilization way more advanced, or is there Saul? Is there a God that we have warned about? And some of these atheists are like, am I wrong? Is there a God? And we caused a world war because we didn't like religious people? Or were they religious people actually toxic? And we needed to get rid of them. And vice versa. The religious people also went to war. And they also initiated battles based on their religious belief, and that's nothing new in humanity. Neither one of them is new. Before the 20th century, religion killed a lot of people. Then government and atheism and socialism said, hold my beer, I can top that within 100 years, what you guys did in thousands of years. Literally, 100 million people were murdered because of big government within a span of 50 years. It's called democide. Killed by government, murdered by government. And both are horrendous. Both are unjustified. But there is a way bigger threat from big government than from big religion at this point in time in our history. And unfortunately, we see that the attack on Ukraine from Russia bears that truth. Off topic. So Raised by Wolves, surreal, check it out, good acting, very weird, trying to find out what's going on. Second season is also very good, goes deeper, and I give the second season 4 potatoes from me, but I don't think it's for everybody. Next one, Star Trek Discovery. Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It was better than the 4th season. Totally upset with the fourth season. It was ridiculous. It had a great premise and shitted all over the end by basically the premise was that simultaneously dilithium crystals that give power to the spaceships all over the galaxy to go light speed exploded all at the same time. And pretty much it is equivalent to if every car blew up at the same time on planet Earth, everybody would have to walk everywhere. Well, when you have distance between star systems, you lose communication. You have to sort of come together. So the Federation was destroyed, and they chalk it up, and this is a spoiler, they chalk it up to some alien who couldn't control his mind, enhanced by the area that he was in, that blew up all the dilithium crystals. Pretty stupid. I don't know what kind of writing that is. Very upset. I wanted something profound, something deep. And I think they got criticism from that. Actually, in the new season, if the people, the alien species that they discover in the next season, they should have been the ones who created the problem of the dilithium crystals exploding. But no, they had a dumb ending for the last season. So we're in this new season, and here comes the spoilers. There's an alien race so advanced that it needs this certain material. So so advanced, we're like ants to them. They basically have this machine that collects a certain mineral and all over the universe or in our galaxy. And basically, it's like breaking shit up. It's destroying planets where people are on. So they're trying to figure out, they call them the DMA, this new alien species. So, spoiler alert, at the very end, they end up meeting the space entity that is creating the DMA with Earth in peril. They finally find a way to communicate, create a language, sort of clever, a little bit too long on it. The alien species basically see that, oh, yeah, we are hurting these ants. We don't want that to happen. They're able to communicate that. Now they will shut down their shit. So that's basically the premise of the new season. It was okay. What I didn't like about it, there's a main character called Michael Burnham. Now, Michael Burnham started in the TV show as a lieutenant commander, the number one, second in charge. And she is reckless, ruthless, but she's mostly always right. And she's willing to break the rules to save more people. Fast forward to the new season, she's now captain. She was an awesome first officer, a number one. She is a terrible captain. They wrote that she wins all the time. But how her demeanor, how she acts, is not only different from who she was as a commander, it's way different than any other captain. She's emotional, always crying, always making decisions based on her boyfriend. Very uncaptain-like. She is no... If I'm going to compare a woman captain to a woman captain, she is no Janeway. Janeway was tough, stern. didn't put up with shit. I do not like what Captain Michael Burnham has become. Way better character when she was a lieutenant. She has gone soft, whiny. Every encounter, she's about to cry with her friends. Constantly reaffirming these relationships that we already know that they're tight. I can't do it without you. I'm glad you're here with me. Like every scene's like that. And she's about to cry. The strengths of a Captain Cisco, a Picard, a Archer, or a Kirk. No, this character has seemed to be weakened. She started off as the most craziest and unpredictable to be emotionally unstable in my opinion. So, if I was going to write the next season, this is what I would write. Let me tell you right now. I would write that she has to do something against the Federation's rules. And she knows better. She goes back to this, I know better. You guys don't understand. And I'm going to have to take it in my own hands. Stop crying. Stop hugging everybody. Just be stern. Be a captain. It's getting too woke. At the very end, they decided to get political, bring in the president of the Earth to, and it's this far left-leaning pundit from the news is the president of Earth, so therefore, Earth is not doing very well. Just ridiculous. Why alienate half? Conservatives love Star Trek. And there's like a gay relationship in it. I don't mind it. I think it's done in taste. Just like all the other relationships are done in taste. It's not about the sexuality. It's about the relationships. So just to go to this partisan hack ending, very disappointing. So at the very end, I would make Michael Burnham more tough. So for this season, good idea, 2 potatoes. Development of characters, very poor. So 2.5 potatoes for Star Trek Discovery. Peacemaker, this is John Cena. And his new show on HBO where he plays the character that he did in the Suicide Squad. He lives. And it's pretty funny. And I forget that it's John Cena. The character development is pretty good. It's pretty gruesome and sexist and everything you want to watch in a TV show. Because you can't be that in society. You rather watch it in a TV show and see these people do that and then they get punished for it or they get looked down upon it. But no one knows that you're really laughing about it. So I give Peacemaker 3.5 potatoes. Watch it. It's good. Just a lot of action. A lot of craziness. He has a flying eagle that comes and protects him. Pretty funny. Now, if you watch Vikings, I loved Vikings. It's the 4 potatoes. The whole series is great. So, they jump many years in the future, and we're a part of these new group of Vikings. And it's called Vikings Valhalla. Now, I was like, because I fell in love with every character. Every character was great, and I wanted to see what happened to every character. Even after Ragnar Lothbrok dies, his sons and how their story ends was so intriguing. It's one of the best shows, the original Vikings. So this Viking Valhalla, I was very anxious if I'm going to get into these new characters. And guess what I did immediately? They hired great actors. They had a great storyline. And you're really feeling the last throes of the Viking way of life, budding up to the Christian way of life. So, it was good. I liked it. I'm really excited by the next seasons. I liked every character. I like these new characters. I got into them. What helps is that they have Leif Erikson, the famous Viking. So he's in there, and they write the story almost around him. So Viking Valhallas, so far, 3.5 potatoes, almost 4. Also watched The Last Kingdom. I watched this last night, and it ended. It's 5th season, series finale. They might be doing a movie, and the character name is, hold on, Uhtred of Bebbanburg. This is more historically accurate, created around a fictional character called Uhtred of Bebbanburg. Hero of the story, goes through all kinds of crazy shit. But they ended the series last night, and they ended it well. I felt emotionally connected to it. It had some endings, acknowledgments about what he feels about stuff. It was overall good, action-packed. Hey, spoiler alert, he ends up at the very end getting Bebbanburg back, which was lost at the very beginning of the first season of the TV series. And he gets full circle. All of this is based around England trying to unify itself into one Great Britain, which we know it doesn't happen till years later with Scotland and Ireland. They became Great Britain, a unified Great Britain with each area having their own autonomy. But this goes back to that this has been a dream of certain kings from the very beginning. So the ending is well done. The series is great altogether. I give 4 potatoes to the series. I give 4 potatoes to the ending and how they ended. And it still leaves the door open for another season. I love The Last Kingdom. Ozarks. One of the best TV shows ever. It does not disappoint. If you have not watched it, you need to watch it. It is one of the greatest TV shows on earth. We're right in the middle of a season. So, right now it's 4 potatoes. It is so good. But my prediction for this is that Marty Bird can't keep this up forever, and somebody, if not him and his family, is going to die. There's going to have to be a reckoning. He can only save himself so long. I don't know if he gets out of the lifestyle, or the CIA or the FBI make him stay in the lifestyle, but I'm excited to see what happens. So, 4 potatoes for this half of the Ozark season 5. I think it's season 5. I'm not sure. But the last season that we're dealing with. Uncharted, the movie. That's okay. It's not anywhere near Indiana Jones. And it's also nowhere near National Treasure. And nowhere near The Mummy. But it's good entertainment. I wouldn't say go to the movies and watch it. Wait till it comes out in video. I don't know. I'm not compelled by Spider-Man being this heroic character outside of him being bit by a spider. I can't recall the actor's name right now. He's just too short. And he doesn't have that extra drive to sell it. I mean, he has a suit and the Spider-Man persona that sort of helps him. And this is where you really understand how good Tom Cruise is. he's probably just as short. But when Tom Cruise is on the screen, you watch. You feel like Ethan Hunt can do anything. Even as Jack Reacher, which we'll get into later, you believe that this guy can kick ass and beat these guys up in a bar and win fights. I don't believe this was this character. So I get why Tom Cruise is an immense star. Because what he can produce on screen, and being as short as he is, it is a talent. And I just don't feel it from this new actor. I'm trying to remember his name. Zendaya's boyfriend. But I like the way the kid acts. When you put him in good stuff, I see him in great stuff. As a character that's trying to figure it out, an unsure character, or following a more prominent character, he does great. He is a great actor. I just don't know if he can pull off this Indiana Jones type of thing with Uncharted. So I'll give it 2.5 potatoes. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Watched it all. Great. Already great. Funny as hell. Like where the story's going. Spoilers, she sort of does not like, because Shy Baldwin left her at the freaking airport. She decides that she's not going to follow anybody. She's going to be the headliner, and she takes nothing where she has to follow anybody. So she ends up creating these other avenues for her to do her stand-up comedy. Ends up hurting her career. There's a big moment at the end where she has a talk with a famous comedian, and he tells her, "This is not how it's done. You're not gonna get where you want to be. You're not gonna talk to that many people if you're hiding." Basically, it's really good. Good season, funny. The family's funny. The circumstances are funny. It's great. So I give that 3.5 potatoes for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Definitely watch it. I don't want to spoil it too much for you because it's mostly dialogue. It's always all dialogue and funny moments, and I don't want to tell you them. What I gave you is just enough. Number 1, Reacher. Now, Reacher was great. New actor, tall. What he was supposed to be written for is a tall military man. And it was given to Tom Cruise, which he did a great job in the first 2 Reachers on the movie screen. But we see what the writer intended for Reacher. And it's great. Thoroughly loved it. Great acting, great dialogue, great action. It's got green lighted for 2 more seasons. So Reacher gets 4 potatoes. Definitely watch Reacher on Amazon Prime. Now, my favorite show of the season. It's a shoot off from, what do you call it? Yellowstone. It's called 1883. It shows the plight of the Dutton family coming west. The story is riveting. The acting is great. The dialogue is great. What happens, everything was great about this show. I was waiting with anticipation every week to watch it. Sam Elliott was phenomenal. Probably got to his head where he started to talk shit about other stuff. Other people. Went off on the dog movie, which I saw, which is okay. I saw that. Here's a quick review. It was okay. It tried to get a little woke and saying that every strange man or every tough man is secretly struggling with homosexuality. That's why they're overcompensating. But sometimes tough times create tough people. And they're tough because they are tough, not because they're struggling with their sexuality. And it's the narrative from the left that if you're strong and stern, you're overcompensating. Gladly, these shows from 1883 and Yellowstone don't buy into this narrative. They just are tough, evil men inside Yellowstone, and we see how this toughness is grown by trying to track across America to live in this better place. There are amazing characters in this. But Sam Elliott and the daughter are standouts in this movie, in this TV show. Phenomenal acting. They both should get some kind of award. It was great. I was compelled by every character, truly. It is one of the best shows in a long time. Definitely the best Western in a long time. TV show. 1883. 4 potatoes all the way up. All right. We're in an hour now talking about stuff, so I'm going to end it here. Hey, I got a free ebook for you. Just go into the show notes. You will see a link that will link you to the free ebook. I want to give you that. Also, my friends, if you want to follow me on the social media, just go to all the social media apps, pretty much all. I'm not on Snapchat. Just type in James Salazar Media. I should come up. So, my friends, if the storm of life's come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall, take a look at that storm and say, give me your best shot. No, sorry. Did I screw that up? I screwed that up. And say what my sensei Jack Burton always says, give me your best shot. Strike the music. Shit. Motherfuckers. Come on. What happened here? Dang, I hate when this happens. Oh, there you go. Bye-bye. 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 Shut up, Chewie!